Ohio home prices have just hit another all-time record high. They are up 61%, according to Zillow, in the last 6 years. Folks, the last time we had a home price decline for the state of Ohio was back in 2012. That's right, 2012. Homes in Ohio have never been more expensive. That's just the simple fact. And it's absolutely shocking what we're seeing. Prices continue to run up and up and up. Now, according to the latest data I just pulled yesterday, $253,000 is the typical home in Ohio. Those aren't even the expensive ones, obviously. The fact is, Ohio used to be affordable. But now, for many, it's not. So with home prices being so insanely high and property taxes being absolutely out of control, we all know that, right? One would think nobody can afford a house in Ohio. Nobody's actually buying, right? Wrong. Buying demand in Ohio is now at a 3-year high. So demand is increasing. More people are buying homes right now in the Buckeye State versus last year, the year before, and the year before that. Let me show you. This right here measures the home buying demand, the pending sales. And you can clearly see this year, we had 17,000 homes in the state of Ohio go into contract. Last year, 16,000 homes go into contract. The year before that, 14,800 homes go into contract. So demand is increasing, even with record high prices and unaffordability with property taxes, insurance, and overall inflation. So why is this happening? What in the world is going on? Well, that's what we're looking at today on the Ohio Housing Nerd. Quite frankly, the Ohio housing market is cooked. There's just no doubt about it. But that's the state of Ohio. What we need to think about is what's happening in your local market. So do me a favor, drop your zip code below. I will analyze it today on the live stream. Thanks for joining me. My name is Jason Ferrier. I am the Ohio Housing Nerd. I'm a realtor investor here in Central Ohio, but I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a cheerleader. I'm not going to tell you the market always goes up, although it seems like it's always going up right now, right? But it won't do this forever. Every run has an end. I'm also not a crash bro. I'm not going to tell you that now is the worst time to buy a house, that you should stay away, that it's never been so toxic to purchase a home. You have to make your own decision. My job is to give you the data so you can make those decisions. All right, let's take a look at the overall Ohio housing market for the next 5 minutes. Then I'll dive into your zip codes. Drop those below in the chat. If you have a question for me, that's fine too. So this is your time to ask questions about the housing market in general. And yeah, we'll learn together. So thanks for joining me today. It's an amazing day in Central Ohio, probably in all of Ohio today, right? I mean, clear, not a lot of humidity, sun's out. Let's learn about some real estate. All right, let me show you what's happening. So let's go back to, I'm going to start with inventory real quick because inventory is building. We are seeing more homes on the market versus last year. So if you take a look at this chart and we look at how many homes we have right now, we've got about 18,000 homes for sale right now in the state of Ohio. $18,800 actually. And that's up. Last year it was about 16,000, 17,000 homes. Yeah, it looks like 17,000 homes. So last year, 17,000. This year, nearly 19,000 houses for sale. Inventory drives a lot of the housing market. If you have a lot of inventory, as long as people don't buy that inventory, you are probably going to have lower prices. But we've had a problem in the last few years, low inventory. I mean, look at this. We're still kind of sitting around the low levels, right? Even though they are increasing, we're not where we were during 2021, where there were only 10,000 houses for sale in the entire state. Now we've gained another 9,000 homes, and that's good. We're on the right track, just not there yet. If you go back in time, though, look at this. Look at 2017. We had 33,000 houses for sale in 2017, and prices were still going up then. Don't get it twisted. It's not like prices were crashing then, but back in 2017, 33,000 homes in the state. Now, 19,000 homes. So gaining, but not there yet. But it is good news to see some inventory building. Now, let's look at days on market. How long are homes taking to sell in the state? Right now, about 37 days. Last year, 37 days. So homes are not sitting overall a long time, although they may be, sitting longer in your area. You can let me know, but overall, they're sitting about a normal amount of time, 37 days. In fact, if I go back to May of 2017, 53 days. 53 days back in 2017. So we had a lot more inventory then. Homes were sitting a lot longer. Deals were a lot easier to find. I was when I first started investing. Like, it was easy to find a deal. Really wasn't that hard at all. Now, much harder. So that represents the days on market. Let's look at pending sales. Let me show you that. Then I'll show you prices for the state. And again, drop your zip code below. I will review it. Give me a thumbs up, by the way, if you join this, and share this with someone else that needs to see it. Maybe somebody needs to see it, right? Somebody is looking to buy a home, sell a home in Ohio, maybe move here, and they need some knowledge on the housing market. Have them come on the live stream and let's talk to them. So look at pending listings. This is the buyer demand. How many homes are going into contract? Right now, 17,000 in May. I guess last month, right? 17,000. Again, this data is pretty fresh. If you look at last year, we only had 16,000. And the year before that, 14,000. So in 2024, we had 14,000 last year, 16,369. And then this year, we're at 17,234. So pending sales, demand going up, even with these insane prices. Crazy, right? Now let's look at prices. Let me show you what's happening there. First, I'm going to show you the increase year over year. So right now, we're up in Ohio 3.6% for the whole state. Round up 4%. The good news is, from a price standpoint, we're not growing like we were in 2021, 2022, where prices were going up, 15, some places 20% year over year. We're not doing that, at least, thank goodness. But we are still growing. Ohio has not crashed. And I'm seeing an uptick in prices now. I'm seeing an uptick. 80 of 88 counties have higher prices right now than last year. 80 of 88 counties, basically the entire state, still has growing home prices. And today we're going to look at why, especially in your individual markets. So when you look at the actual prices, though, we'll look at that again. I showed you at the beginning. I'll show you one more time. 252, basically 253, is the typical home value. And the typical value is between the 35th and 65th percentile. It's not the most expensive and it's not the cheapest. But look at this run up. I mean, prices started in 2019 at $155,000 in the state. Now, 253, they're up nearly $100,000 in just 6 years. $100,000. Now, if we lived in like San Jose, California, and you've got $1 million homes all over the place, $100,000, not that big of a deal. But when you start at 156 going to 253, forget about it. That's where the problems come in. And that's why property taxes have skyrocketed. By the way, there's about 350,000 homeowners right now in the state of Ohio behind in property tax. 350,000. After this video, I'm actually leaving to go shoot a video just on property tax delinquencies because I pulled all of them throughout the state. I actually pulled most throughout the country. And what I found was insane. So be on the lookout for that video. But suffice to say, property taxes are exploding in many areas of the state. So what I'll do is when we look at your market today, I will review property tax delinquency as well. We'll pull that up and kind of get a gauge as to what's happening with delinquent property taxes, because that's pretty shocking. There are some counties of Ohio where 1 out of 4 homes have a delinquency of property tax. 1 out of 4. See if you can guess which counties. See if you can guess which counties. All right. So let me take a couple comments, and then I'm going to look at your zips. And I can't wait to see what you got for me on your zip codes. Dan Queen. Dane Queed, 420. 45245. Nope. Start in Grove City, please. Okay, I'll look at Grove City. You had a zip code in Grove City? That would help. Oh, you got it. You're ahead of me. Look at that. You got it. TH2. Good afternoon to you too. Michael Smalley. You got it, bro. We'll do it. Derek, 43130. Let's do it. And by the way, if you can put in what you're doing, if you're buying, selling, investing, that would help me a lot. Help me frame up the analysis. And yeah, that would certainly help. Also, like, put the city in. That way I don't have to look it up, because I get curious and I'm like, where is that? So I always like to talk about that. So put that in too. The city, zip code. If it's like a little burb or whatever, doesn't matter. Put that in, zip code, and what you're doing, buying or selling. Mogador, that's how you say it, I think. 44260 is a split between Summit and Portage County. Can you do both, considering a sell and buy in each? Okay. All kinds of tasks for me today. 43040, Marysville, Ohio. These are filling up fast. 43351, man, you guys are pounding me. 45628, Frankfurt. Got it. And 45373. That'll work too. We'll do that one. Let me just look at a few comments. Again, if you have a question about the Ohio housing market or the housing market in general, buying a house, selling a house, whatever, let me know. Put it in here. Just tag at Ohio Housing Nerd so I know it's a question, and then I'll be able to pull it out of the chat. I'm looking in Columbiana County right now. Scared to make a move, but need to stop renting. Ah, you're a buyer. Okay. We'll look at that. Ghost. What's up, Ghost? Ellie, how you doing? It's disheartening to see so new homes built anywhere. It's just a very random home from the 1800s or early 1900s here and there still. Bidding wars are guaranteed. To see, oh, no new homes. Right. There are no new homes. Like, I can't say that. I mean, obviously they build new homes in Ohio. It's not like they don't. But overall, there's not a lot. There's not a lot at all. I mean, less than 2% of all homes in Ohio, to your point, Ellie, you're more right than you think. Less than 2% of all the houses in Ohio were built after 2020. When someone asks or thinks that there's going to be a housing crash in Ohio, you should just hit them with that stat and go, well, we're not building anything. You want proof? Look at the U.S. Census data. No houses are built. They're not building enough homes. And there's a lot of old homes. And there's more people moving into Ohio. Something's got to give. Tons of homes in Texas. Absolutely. Completely different markets. Completely different. That's why Texas prices are falling, because there's a ton of new construction versus Ohio, there's not. And it's crazy. There are people that have some weird idea that we have a ton of new construction in Ohio. And you're like, no, we don't. Look at the numbers, man. We got nothing. You can just see it, right? Drive around. There's a lot of homes being built like in the $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 range, but nothing really under that hardly. I'd be curious your take of 43205. Yeah, I'll take a look at that, Andrew. Do you need a wholesaler disclosure when doing a double close in Ohio? You should talk to a lawyer about that, man. I don't, off the top of my head, and this isn't obviously legal advice, but it's real estate advice, I wouldn't think you do, because you're buying the home and taking title. Like, to buy a house, you've got to close on the property, right? So a wholesaler isn't buying the home themselves. They have the illusion that they're buying it from the seller, and then they put them under contract and they sell the contract. But you double close, you got to actually close. So to me, that's not what wholesaling is, but check with an attorney. Oh, you're welcome. Thanks. Wow. Buying for horse rescue. Okay. Oh, you're looking to buy in Brown County. I'll do that one. The mafia is destroying the real estate market. Amish mafia? Which mafia are you talking about? They run about a 10-year cycle. Home prices? Well, ever since 2008, all economic cycles have been changed. The government figured out how to change that the way they want to. And those cycles now have changed. Just look at the stock market and look at the housing market. I mean, you can say 10-year cycle, but shoot, unless aliens come and take away a bunch of homes, or I'm sorry, aliens come and add a bunch of homes in Ohio, if aliens happen to land here and throw a bunch of homes on the market, we will have a price decline. They got to throw a bunch on really quick and just flood the market with listings, then you'll have a price decline. But until that happens, we need homes. We need forced selling. We need people who need to sell, not want to sell. And right now, we don't have people that need to sell. Consider selling 45502. You guys have a lot. You have a lot of zips here. I'll do my best. We're fighting a power plant data center in Upper Sandusky. What are the effects of that? It's interesting. I'm starting to track what's happening with real estate and data centers. Right now in Ohio, I can't find a trend because they haven't been around long enough in the rural areas. If you take an area like New Albany, I mean, that economic development is off the hook, right? I mean, that area is booming. Median home price has gone up. Median income has gone up a ton in New Albany and the surrounding Columbus area. So I'm not sure you can use that as a gauge. It'll be interesting to see how these rural areas are affected. 43201. One more here, and then I'll start my list. Hey, Jason, can you look and check property tax delinquency and zip code 45133? Yeah, I'll do more than that. I'll actually look at your market. All right. Now, listen, if I am going here and I'm not getting to your zip code. If you have one and you're joining the chat late, super chats get moved up to the front. I see them, they pop up, and I will put you at the top and jump yours in front of everybody else, even if it's 99 cents, to analyze your zip code. So that's how we'll do it. Let's get started. Got a lot to do. No time to waste. All right, let me pull the first one I got. First one. Dan, you're the first one. 45245. By the way, I'm using realtor.com for inventory data, Zillow for pricing data, and then I'm using county data through PropStream for tax delinquencies. Not that you care about any of that, but I just want to make sure people hear that where I'm getting this data. People always ask, where are you finding this data? All right, 45245. We're going to start with inventory on all these. Wow, look at this. So in 45245, you have 43 homes on the market right now. Southwest, I know it's in Southwest Ohio. I'm just looking at what town it's in. Oh, Claremont County. Okay. Yeah, so Claremont County, I've been watching this one. 45245. Just want to make sure I have it. Okay. 43 homes on the market right now. Last year, you had 42. Not that much of a difference. Just one more home. But look at the year before that, you had 11. So back in 2023, you only had 11 houses. That means inventory has grown a lot quickly, right? And you're actually near historical norms. You go back in time into 2017, 2018, you had 43 homes or so. Now you got 43 homes. So that's at least you're heading in the right direction with inventory. Median days on market, 19. Last year was 19. The year before that was 38 in 2024. So homes are taking 19 days to sell. Not very long. At least go into contract. That's what it means. Maybe not close, but it's off market at that point, right? Goes into contract. They call that days on market. So when you see days on market, that's basically how long it takes for a home to the time you list it to the time you actually put it in contract. It's not how long it takes to close, because once you put it in contract, it could take another month and a half, 2 months, sometimes 6 months, depending on the deal, to close. That doesn't count against days on market. It's only how long it sits without a contract, just to clear that up. So homes are selling about the same amount of time as last year. Let's look at pricing, and then I'll look at your delinquency, your property tax delinquency. Whoops. Year over year pricing up 3%. Up 3% year over year there. So you're not keeping up with inflation if inflation is 3.5% approximately, but you're close. Point is, you haven't crashed. Prices are still going up on a nominal basis. And, if you go back in time a little bit, back into, look at this, like 2021, you had prices going up 17%. This period right here, through this time, this hump, this camel hump, if you want to call it, right through here, completely wrecked your housing market and many markets across the country and Ohio. So that's what you're seeing right here. 3% up in prices. They haven't crashed. Let's see what that has translated into as far as typical home value. Typical home value there isn't cheap. $354,000 is your typical home value, an all-time record high in 45245. Homes have never been more expensive than they are right now in your zip code. Wow. Wowee. Now, I will go to PropStream. Now, this is a paid service. I go here to look for deals, and it actually shows you the distress. You can look at the actual distress in the area by using this program. 45245. It's paid. I don't make any money on it. It's not my program, but if you want to go to propstream.com, you can do a trial, I think, for like 7 days, and then you can subscribe. It's not cheap. It's like $120 a month, but it gives you some great information. So in your zip code, outside of Cincinnati, they're only tracking 4 property tax delinquencies in your zip code. Only 4. But usually what I do is look at the county. The county tells you a little more. So let me look at Claremont County. Am I spelling it right? C-L-E-R, my bad. All right. C-L-E-R. There we go. Claremont County, Ohio. What do we got? 112 property tax delinquencies. That's what we're looking at in Claremont County right now. And it actually shows you where they are. So when you think about that, you've got, if I take away this filter, there are 110,000 properties in Claremont County. 110,000. And 112 of those are delinquent in property tax. Not that bad. Really not that bad. There are 275 pre-foreclosures. So from a distress angle, as long as this information's right, and I can't guarantee it because they're pulling from county records. So who knows if they're, I'm not the one putting this data together. But assuming this is right, you've got 112 tax delinquencies on 110,000 properties. Not that big of a deal, in my eyes. So hopefully that helped. That's kind of how our analysis will run the rest of the show, pretty much. All right, let's do the next one. Nope. Start in Grove City. Which zip code you got? 43123. Give me a thumbs up if you come in, and share this with someone else who can join, because that really helps. Really helps the channel. And subscribe. I'm shocked how many people do not are not subscribed to the channel. When I look at the data, I'm like, wow, I can't believe all these people aren't subscribed. Mm-mm-mm. Hmm. There we go. 43123. Grove City, huh? Start with inventory. Got 100 homes on the market this year. Last year, you had 112. So you have fewer homes than last year by 2. Ain't that, or no, I'm sorry, by 12. 12 fewer homes, not that big of a deal. Year before that, you only had 73 homes back in 2024. And if you go back all the way to 2017, you had 122 homes on the market. So you're getting to that level that is kind of normal. The question is, how are pending sales doing? How is demand? How are prices doing? And delinquency? We'll look at that. Median days on market. What do we got? 30. 30 days on market right now. Last year, 35 days on market. Homes selling quicker. Homes selling quicker. Oh, you know what? We need to look at pending sales too. What's demand like? Look at this. Perfect example. 142 houses went into contract this year, this May, last month, versus last year in 2025, 116. That's a decent jump. So you've got more demand right now than you did last year. That's what I was saying at the beginning. Even though prices are at all-time highs, even though property taxes are out of control, even though inflation is raging throughout Ohio, throughout the country, people are still buying homes. As a realtor, I can tell you people are still buying homes. I'm listing homes, people are buying them. All right, that's pending sales. We did median days on market. Let's do prices. How are prices doing where you are? 43123 in Grove City. Only up 1.5%. Basically flat and actually negative if you think about, inflation. But right now up 1.5%, not skyrocketing anymore like they were back in 2021. But the damage has been done. And now they're just kind of floating around in the low 1% area. The point is they haven't fallen, but they haven't gone up that much either in the last year or so. Just kind of like a little bump each month. Yeah, right now, let's see. 348 is your typical home value. $348,000, $349,000. Let's see. You're at an all-time record high. Homes have never been more expensive in Grove City, where you are, 43123, than they are today. 348,804, basically 349 grand. Wow. All right. Now let's look at let's do this. Just double checking this. Grove City. So let me type in Grove City in my distress map and we'll find out how it's doing. Grove City, Ohio. What do we got? So on this one's much different, right? You've got 27,000, nearly 28,000 total properties in Grove City. Of that, 365 are tax delinquent. Now think about that. We just saw one in Claremont County for the entire county was 112 tax delinquencies out of 210,000 properties. This one is 365 in Grove City, 365 tax delinquencies, property tax delinquencies out of 28,000 properties. Basically 1.3%. Not a ton as far as a percentage goes, but there are some. And if you look at pre-foreclosures, there's actually more tax delinquencies than there are pre-foreclosures. So let me look at, is Grove City? I assume it is, right? Yeah, let me look at, I'll tell you what's going on with Franklin County. Franklin County seems like they've cleaned up some of their property tax delinquency. Look at this. There's 500,000 properties in Franklin County total. 500,000. Of those, 11,700 are delinquent in property tax. There's still a lot. When you think about it, 11,700 people can't pay their property tax right now or are behind on their property tax. There's 1,900 pre-foreclosures that are getting ready to go to foreclosure at some point. So that's what's happening in Grove City and Franklin County as far as delinquency and what's happening in Grove City's housing market. All right, next. 43056. Gotcha. Good old Newark. No, Heath, right? 19 homes on the market. Heath, Ohio, folks. I mean, I live very close to Heath. It may be one of the most constrained markets that is around the area. Like, no kidding. It's very hard to find something there. It seems like anytime inventory hits the market, it's sold. 19 homes on the market. That's it. Last year, you had 20 homes. Not great. Year before that, you had 20 homes. You're up from the lows of 8 homes back during 2021. So at least you're not there. At least you're not looking at just 8 homes, but only 19 homes on the market. Look back in 2017, you had 44 homes. Still not a ton, but it's better than 19. So that's not tremendous. It's not a tremendous thing to only have 19 homes, I understand. But again, at least you have more. All right, let's look at pending sales. How are those doing? $12. Last year, 16. I mean, you're floating around the same area you always do. You don't have that many listings, so it's hard to look at a trend really. But people are still buying homes. You think about it, you only have 19 homes in the market, 12 of them are purchased. So what? You better hope people keep listing their property, right? You just need more listings. Let's look at median days on market. How long are homes taking to sell? Wow, 55 days now. Huh. So homes, the ones that are on the market, if people aren't buying them, they're sitting a long time. My guess is they're expensive. Like I've seen that in Heath where a home is priced at like 500, 600 grand for some reason. That's not really the market, right? The market's 300, maybe 400. So it is interesting, though, that median days on market has grown from 33 to 55 days. So maybe there's some deals out there if they've been rotting, right? I don't know. You pick one off as a seller has to sell and is, finally ready to drop their price. Who knows? Let's look at prices and see what's going on. They're up 4%. Look at that. They're accelerating now, as they always do during the spring. But given everything that's transpiring with property taxes and inflation, you would think they would eventually start to soften. But right now they're going up. So prices are continuing to accelerate in Heath, Ohio, 43056. What's the typical value there? Curious about that. Wow, $314,000. It's an all-time record high. Homes have never been more expensive in Heath, Ohio than they are today. I never thought I would see the day when a home in Heath was $314,000. The typical home, not the anomaly, the typical home, $314,000. Okay, let's look at the distress and see what's going on. 43056. Now, I'll pull the zip code. I'm not thinking we're going to find much data here. Let's see. Wow. Is that right? Let me just double check I've got the right zip. Yeah, I do. Yeah, in Heath total, there are, in that zip code, 43056, you've got 8,269, 8,300 properties, basically, right? Of the 8,300 properties, 453 are tax delinquent. Wow. Unbelievable. So there are some tax delinquencies out there. Pre-foreclosure, only 4. Let me show you Licking County. Let's look at that. Let's see what's going on in Licking County total. I don't think it's that awful compared to some other counties based on what I've looked at previously, but let's see. Okay, in Licking County total, the total county, 87,000 total properties. There's 4,000 property tax delinquencies, which is like, what, 5%? So that's not small. Only out of only 80, 87,000, 88,000 properties, not even 100,000 properties, you've got nearly 4,000 that are tax delinquent in the entire county. And look at pre-foreclosures, only 111. So what you have to kind of understand is that the pre-foreclosures, generally speaking, are mortgage foreclosures. So they're people that can't afford their mortgage, which is not really materializing, meaning we're not seeing a ton of delinquency with mortgage foreclosures, with mortgages in the US. Overall, the delinquency rate's like 3.5% or something in mortgages. But property taxes, no one talks about that. And a lot of these people probably paid off their home, right? Half of Ohioans have paid off their home, approximately 42%. Yeah, look at this. Free and clear, 37,989. So nearly 40,000 of the 87,000 properties are free and clear, meaning they have no mortgage at all. Yet, 4,000 properties total are tax delinquent. These are people that, a lot of these are people that paid off their home and now they can't afford their property tax. The whole notion of paying off your mortgage or paying cash for your house used to sound good. Now, I'm not so sure. You hurry up and use all your money to pay off your home and you're like, woo, no mortgage. And then you're like, still property tax. And you can't afford it because you got no more money. It's crazy. Anyway, that's what I'm seeing in Heath and Licking County. Goodness gracious. And I'm tracking this. So the problem with this data, by the way, with this prop stream data, it doesn't show me a trend. It doesn't show me what happened last year. So what I'm doing is going in every month, gathering the data, I'm putting it into a tracker, and then at some point over the next few months, I'll have some type of trend to start showing you on how it's going. Is it going up or down? Where is it going up or down? But right now, it's not available to me. So anyway, that's some behind the scenes housing nerd stuff. All right, let's do the next one. This is great. We're finding out some info here. What's next? 57 people watching. Jump on in, ask a question. Oh, Michael Smalley, sorry. 43, oh, you already gave me yours. Derek, 43130, we'll do it. 43130. Lancaster. Is it Lancaster or Lancaster? Which one is it? I'm not sure. $82 houses on the market. 66 last year. More inventory. Good. Good for you. 38 homes back in 2021. So you got more houses than you did in 2021, but look back in 2017, you had 152. Same story as Heath, right? Just need more houses. You just do. The problem is, who's going to give you the houses, right? Like, where are they going to come from? It either has to be second homes, people that pass away, new builds, right? Those are the ways to do it. People that want to move out of the area, that can happen too. But the point is, it's not like there's a supply of homes being built in the affordable price range anyway. Median days on market. How long are homes sitting? 30 days. Last year, 31 days. Homes are selling about a normal amount of time. Not a big deal. Nothing alarming there. Let's look at pending listings. 93. Last year was 73. So the other trend I'm seeing across Ohio, especially in central Ohio, is that you're seeing inventory build, and where it's building, we're seeing more sales. Not because people, counterintuitive, right? To people can't afford homes in Ohio. People are buying. You're seeing it right there. More homes for sale, more choices. Buyers are like, finally, let me buy something. 93 houses. Last year, people bought 73 in May. So a decent tick up. Let's look at prices. Year over year, they're up 3.3%. Not down, not skyrocketing, about normal. Historical norms of 3 to 4% for a house to go up in value. It's kind of like status quo historically. So you're right there. The problem, again, is that you had this run up back here in, during the lockdowns. And so because of that, and because you haven't fallen and gone negative, the damage has been done. Now you're just kind of building slowly on that damage. Let's look at the home prices. What do we got? 277,876, $278,000. Is that an all-time record high? Let's find out. Yeah, obviously, right? Simple math tells us that. It's just hard to look at the chart. But yeah, you're at an all-time record high. Homes have never been more expensive in Lancaster, Ohio than they are today. Unreal. These prices are higher for longer. Now, let's go to the distress and look in Lancaster and see what we can find. Lancaster, Ohio. What do we got? 28,000 properties in Lancaster, only 10 are tax delinquent. I find that hard to believe. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist with data, but that seems strange, right? Let's look at Fairfield County and see how many we have. Fairfield County, Ohio. Let's look at this one. What do we got? Wow. So in let's look at this. Yeah. There's 76,000 properties in Fairfield County, only 29 tax delinquent. I'm not buying that data. I'm just not. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist with data, but when something is way like it's a complete anomaly, I mean, am I supposed to really believe that only 29 people, property owners? I mean, even in the best year, you're going to have more than that. In the entire county, only 29 people are tax delinquent. So again, I'm tracking all this, so we'll see how that materializes. But right now, I ain't buying into that. Ain't buying into that one. All right. What's next? Mogador. My dad always talks about Mogador's football team. I'm not sure why. He went to Shady Side, big Shady Side guy. I lived in Shady Side, actually. It's kind of, is it in that area? 44260. 44260 is split between Summit and Portage County. Well, let's just look at that zip code and see what we can find. And you're looking to buy and sell. Only 9 homes in that market. Wow. So, I mean, and I can see what you're talking about because there's Mogador right there, right? There's only 9 homes. So you said Portage and Summit County, right? Portage and Summit. So here's Portage County. You've got 153 houses for sale in Portage County. Might as well do this one. And I'll do Summit real quick. Last year, you had 174 houses. So you have fewer homes for sale. And if I go back in time a little bit, look at this. Look at back in 2017. You had, are you ready for this? 412 houses in Portage County. 412 houses for sale. Now, 153. Nothing. So if you're selling in Portage County, overall, you've got less competition, right? If you're buying in Portage County, less homes to choose from. And I think that's one of, and y'all let me know what you think, but it seems like that's the bigger issue going on right now. Why the market is the way it is. People are like, well, there's not, if I sell, where am I going to go? I'm going to pay more, higher interest rate probably. And the selection isn't great. A lot of my clients run into that. It's difficult. 153 houses. That's it. Median days on market. How many we got? 34. Last year, 36. Homes are selling a little quicker than last year, just a little quicker. Demand, how's that doing? It's down a little bit. Look at that. You have 188 houses going to contract this year. Last year, you had 196 going to contract. Virtually the same. Very close. And it's been kind of the same all for the last 3 years, 4 years. Look back in May of 2022, you had 274 going to contract. Demand was a lot higher then because we probably, well, I don't know. Did you have more inventory then? Let me look. Let me look if you had more inventory. No, you didn't have more inventory. Oh, people were just going crazy. There must have been a bunch of houses rotting on the market from years before or something. I don't know. It's surprising to see that change in pending sales. Yeah, back in 2022, 274 homes went into contract in the whole county. Wow. All right. So let me do prices. How are those? 4.5% up year over year. Zillow value. And this includes single family and condo, by the way. Man, I mean, again, prices have not fallen since 2013 in Portage County. So it's been 13 years, basically, right? Let's look at the single family price. 280. Homes have never been more expensive than right now in Portage County. Record high $280,000 for the typical home. The point is, they're not crashing, right? Prices continue to go up. Let's look at some distress and see what we can find in Portage County. Whoops. Portage County. What do we got? Oh, yeah, here's one like Licking County. Look at this. 83,000 homes total in Portage County. 83,000. Of those, you've got 11,704 are delinquent on their property tax. Is that right? Let me just double check this number. Nah, can that be right? Stand by. Oh, man. County. Hang on. Just want to double check the data. Yeah, 4,000. Sorry, 4,000. 4,053 homes late on property tax, delinquent on property tax out of 83,000 properties, which isn't even, I mean, that's over 4%, right? Maybe around 5% are tax delinquent. Pre-foreclosures, 207. Free and clear, 40,000. Again, same as what Fairfield County, you've got half the county is paid off. Shocking, right? Yet tax delinquency is high. Look at this. Only 1,000 down here. Only 1,000 are upside down. Not surprising. It's not the equity. That's not the problem. It's not like 2008 where their homes were worth less than they owed. That's not the problem right now. The problem, honestly, I mean, obviously it's high prices, inflation and all that, and the run up, but property taxes from a distress standpoint, that's like, it could be the biggest housing crisis that the country will ever see. Maybe certainly Ohio, but it could be like a countrywide, United States-wide crisis that's brewing. Because what are counties going to do when they can't collect their revenue? Could be the next bailout. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, that's going to be the next big bailout is property tax. Could be a state bailout. Could be a county bailout. I'm sorry, country bailout. Wow. Wowee. That's pretty high. All right, what's next? Oh, you wanted me to do, or you want to do Summit too, huh? Summit County. I'm always up for Summit. Summit County, Ohio. We got it. We're doing it. We've got 734 homes. Wow, that's a lot, right? In Summit County. That's Akron, isn't it? Where's it? Is it Akron? Or is that? Yeah, Akron. Okay. 734 houses. Not a small number. Last year, 685. So you've gained some inventory. Congratulations. Good for you. Look at 2023 at 486 houses. So you've grown a lot with inventory. You have more homes on the market. Look at 2017. Go back in the DeLorean. 1,620 homes. So it's crazy. Like if you know from if you follow the channel, you'll know that we are growing inventory. We are, thank goodness. But we're not even close to back to like levels seen when everything was, somewhat normal in 2017. A lot more houses for sale. It's going to take years to get that number unless some kind of economic demise happens to the entire economy. Median days on market, 36 last year, 35. Homes are taking normal amounts of time to sell. That's not a big deal. Pending listings, how's demand? 802 last year, 794. So demand's about the same in Summit County. People were buying about the same as they did last year. Not up, not down. That's for sure. But you could see the demand destruction, though, from 2022 to 2023, went from 1,200 to 800 or 900. Fewer people buying than historically, though, just like fewer homes on the market. And that's probably one of the reasons why there's less demand. All right, let's look at prices. Then we'll look at delinquencies in Summit. 4.3% year over year increase in prices. Prices still going up. Still going up. I'm sure you're like, that's no surprise. Single family home value, record high $230,826. Homes have never been more expensive in Summit County than they are today. It's an all-time record high. Hence the title of my video, Ohio home prices just hit another all-time high. I could make every video that title and it would be accurate. All right, so let's look at distress and see what's going on. Summit. Survey says, there we go. All right, so I noticed something happened last week. Was it last week or a week before? There was a lot more tax delinquency in Summit County. And something happened. They either cleared a bunch of them, maybe they got paid, I don't know. But right now there's only 4,800 property tax delinquencies on 300,000 total properties in the county. Not that many. The ratio is not bad, if this is true. Look at pre-foreclosures, 852. That's a decent amount for that many properties. Free and clear, 125,000 free and clear properties. Again, very close to half of all properties in Summit County are paid off. Upside down, 4,000. 4,000 of the 300,000 or 280,000, whatever properties, not that much, right? So again, upside down, not an issue. Free and clear, people have paid off their homes. Congratulations, but there are still some tax delinquencies. That's what you should watch, property tax delinquencies. All right. Next. Let's see. What else we got? Marysville, Ohio. 43040 in Marysville. 56 homes on the market today. Last year, 53. A little more, homes to choose from by by 3 homes. Not that much. But in 2023, you only had 15 houses on the market. 15. If you go back in time, you're about where you usually were in 2017, 2018, 2019. You're about that number. So you're kind of near historical norms with inventory. Days on market, about the same as last year, 30 days. Last year, 27 days. Homes are not really rotting. They're taking about the same amount of time to sell. Let's do pending sales. Demand, in other words, 65. Last year, 64. But that's elevated from where we were during the pandemic. So you've got a steady demand of people buying. And you can tell because the inventory hasn't skyrocketed. So people are buying homes. Prices up just 1.6%. So still haven't found a place where prices are falling yet. We may find one today. Sometimes we don't during these lives. The Ohio ones. National, we always find them. 1.6% up. What's the typical value in Marysville for this zip code? $385,671. $386,000. But guess what? That actually is not an all-time high. It's not an all-time high by like $2,000 or $3,000. Now remember, this is the 35th to 65th percentile. So they're just taking that middle area of houses, and what's the typical value? So houses aren't at an all-time high in Marysville. They're really close to it. They're not crashing, but they're certainly not at an all-time high by about $3,000. Let's look at distress in Marysville. Let me just type in Marysville. Probably give us a better look. Marysville, Ohio. You've got 20,000 total properties. Only 378 are tax delinquent. Only 378. Let's look at Union County overall, though. See what's happening. I can't imagine Union County having a lot of delinquency, but that's just a guess. Yeah, only 813 tax delinquencies in Union County total, with 41,000 total properties. Not a huge deal, but something we'll keep our eye on. Only one pre-foreclosure. Free and clear, 20,000 properties are paid off. Upside down, only 1,000 properties out of 41,000 are upside down on their mortgage. So I'm not seeing a lot of distress there. I'm not surprising. I am curious, though, what's happening with prices in Union County. What? Union? Let me look. What? Oh. Oops. Let me look. Union. Why isn't he giving it to me? Union County. Well, I'll just do this. Bear with me, folks. There we go. Union County prices up 1.2% for the entire county. And let's look at the typical value. I'm just kind of curious. Typical value in Union County, it's an expensive area, $423,000. It's not an all-time high, but really close. You're right there within a couple $1,000. So prices barely going up in Union County. How is inventory doing in Union County? Active inventory. I have been watching this one. 168 houses on the market. Last year, 147. Inventory here has grown past 2019 levels. That's I'm not seeing that in many areas throughout the state. I think there's only like 3 or 4 counties where you have more inventory than 2019, and Union County is one of them. I think that's because of a lot of new builds. So they are building new houses in Union County, but a lot of them are expensive. right? Well over the median price for the state. All right. That was Union just for a bonus. Next. 43351. If you're joining us, put your zip code below. I may get to it, I may not. Give me a super chat and it'll jump to the top. And hit the thumbs up for me, please. 43351. 3351. 3351. What we got? Prices. Let me do inventory on. Where are you? 335. 43351. Zip code. What is it? Upper Sandusky. Cool. Let's look at Upper Sandusky. 26 houses on the market. Last year, 21 homes. A little more inventory. In 2021, you only had 4 houses. Just 4 homes. 4. That's it. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. In that whole zip code. I mean, that's slim pickings, right? Slim pickings. Median days on market, 83. So those homes, the ones that are on the market, some of them are taking a long time to sell, or longer than they did last year, and longer than what we've looked at today. Pending listing count. What do we got there? 11. Last year, 9. So it's a little tough to see just with this little, the amount of data we have in this zip code, but people are buying homes still. And with the few amount of homes you have available, 11 homes makes sense that people bought. Let's do prices. How are they? Wow, look at this. Up nearly 10%. Prices are up nearly 10% in your zip code year over year. And they've been up all year. They continue to go up. I mean, that's a lot of growth. I mean, that home price growth is nothing to forget about. That's big. So what about single family value? Where are you at? 207. It's obviously a record high, all-time high for Upper Sandusky. $207,480. In 2019, it was 124,000. Again, there's a lot of folks across the US that'll say 207 grand, that house is free. That's basically free. And so if it goes up 60 grand, not a big deal, right? But to people, or 80 grand, but to people who live there where you are, that is a big deal. That's a big deal. Instead of being, 130,000 after a couple years or a few years, it's 207,000. Yikes. But prices are going up a lot there. 43351. I'm going to use Wyandotte County for the distress and see what we can find. Wyandotte County. Wyandotte. County, Ohio. What do we got? 20,965 total properties. Of that, you've got 1,730 tax delinquencies. So it's not a ton. Not a ton, but 1730. Let me just look at the ratio real quick. That's 8% though. 8% of houses are tax delinquent. That's not small. So that ratio is pretty high in Wyandotte County. 8%. Goodness gracious. I mean, if you think about that, it's like basically 1 out of 10. Nearly 1 out of 10 homes are tax delinquent. Free and clear, 14,000 houses. Shoot, the majority of houses in Wyandotte County are paid off. More than half. Only 360 are upside down. Again, it's not the mortgage problem. It's a property tax problem. That's what the issue is. That's what the issue is. All right. Next. Frankfort, Ohio, 45628. Frankfort, Ohio. What do we got for inventory? 7. I'm gonna have to do the county. That's just not enough. That's just not going to help us. Not enough data. Ross County. All right, we're going to do the county. That'll give us a lot more to go on. Ross County. Dang it. Inventory. How's that in Ross County? 77 houses. Last year you had 91. Fewer houses on the market. A good drop. I mean, a big drop. 91 to 77. It's unreal how their inventory is falling in some areas of Ohio. It's crazy. I mean, you'd never think it would happen coming from the doldrums of the pandemic. 38 days on market typically this year. Last year was 46. So homes are selling quicker. No surprise when there's fewer homes on the market. Pending listing count. How many listings are we selling? 75 in Ross County. Last year, 71. That's for the month of May. So more pending sales. Fewer days on market. Less inventory. All of that spells higher prices normally. 3% up in prices year over year. So homes continue to get more expensive in Ross County. Let's look at typical single family value. $206,000 in Ross County. All-time record high for Ross County. Homes have never been more expensive than right now in Ross County. Let's look at Ross County distress and see what's going on there. And again, I'm looking at the county because your zip code just doesn't have enough data to really do anything with it. 4,223 tax delinquencies out of a total of 50,000 properties. That's like nearly 10%, right? My dumb math. 4,223. Yeah, I think so. Let me run a calculation. 4,223. 2,000. Yep. Same as Wyandotte, 8.4%, nearly 10%. Nearly 10% of homes are property tax delinquent. Pre-foreclosures, only 97. Upside down, underwater mortgages, 789. And free and clear, 41,000. Shoot, that's almost the whole county. I think a lot of these rural counties, this is almost a trend I'm seeing where these rural counties, homes are paid off. But yet you've got a massive amount of distress. And this assumes that they're capturing all of them. Maybe they're not. I don't know what they're going to do. Like, if these property tax delinquencies continue to pile up, eventually the county is going to have to foreclose, right? Then they're going to be stuck with the houses. Or they're going to have to bail people out. It'll be really interesting to see how this unfolds. Nobody's watching it. I mean, people are upset about property taxes, but state leaders, most realtors, housing analysts, whatever you want to call it in Ohio, they don't pay attention to this. They're like, everything's fine. They're like, not really. Wow. Okay. That's Ross County. Geez, 10% or 8.5, whatever. Who cares at that point? It's like, man, people can't catch a break. What's next? 45373. 45373. What do we got? Well, I was going to say prices, but I always start with inventory. So let me start there. Supply. How many houses on the market? 68. Last year, 58. More homes. Good for you. You need that. Look at 2021, you had 21 houses. Back in 2017, you had 133. So you're not there yet, but at least you're not dropping. That's the good news. Median days on market, 42. Last year, 42. Homes are sitting about the same amount of time. What you would look for here is a huge spike or a trend of like days on market continuing to increase. That would tell me that nobody's buying. And at the same time, you would see inventory drastically increase and pending sales drop. Let's see if that's what's going on with pending sales. Look at this, 79 pending sales this year. Last year, 54. A lot more demand this year versus last year. People are still buying homes. There's no doubt. People are still buying. What about prices? In 45373, up 3.4%. So up, around the inflation number. At least it's not down, but that's about normal appreciation. Typical home value, $288,000 for 45373. $288,000. Home prices have never been higher than they are right now. All-time high. Okay, let's look at, let me look at the county, 45373. City of Troy, right? Miami County. So let's look at Miami County and see. How's delinquency? There are 55,000 total properties in Miami County. Tax delinquency, 4,572. 4,572. Still 8%, 8.3%. Yeah. I mean, this is like alarming. You've got all these random counties with 8% of properties are tax delinquent. I mean, if that was a mortgage, if mortgages were 8% of all mortgages in the US were delinquent, that'd be a serious problem. Like you would see that all over the headlines. And that would be the number one story right now. That's a big delinquency. So it's crazy that they can't pay their property taxes. Upside down, people that are underwater on their mortgage in Miami County, 1,878. And free and clear, 25,000. So about half of all properties are paid off. You've got what, 4,000 or 4%? About 4% are underwater. Nationwide, we're like 2% of homes are underwater in the US. Just 2%. During the great financial crisis, it was like 25%. So you don't have many people that are upside down. Why? Because home prices have ran up, but property tax bills came with it. You all know that, right? All right, next. This is great. Thank you for joining me. I'm looking in Columbiana County right now. Scared to make a move, but need to stop renting. So my first question while I type this in is, why do you need to stop renting? Why is that? Seriously. Like, why do you need to stop renting? Am I spelling this right? Columbiana. Oh, there we go. I mean, there's no law that says you have to buy a home. I mean, you may want one. I'm not saying you don't want one, and that's okay. I mean, it's okay to want a house. I mean, that's natural. Many people do. And I'm not saying you don't deserve a house or you shouldn't buy a house. What I'm just saying is, why do you need to stop renting? Need and want are two totally different things. But in the county, in Columbiana County, there's 166 houses. Last year, 150. A little more inventory, just a blip of inventory more. It means you got a little more choices on the market out there. Days on market, homes are selling about as fast as they were last year. I don't see any problems with that. No warning signs there. Pending sales, 116 people still buying in Columbiana County. What about prices? How are they doing? Prices up 3% countywide. And what about typical home value? What's the typical value there? $162,000. It's an all-time record high. Homes have never been more expensive than right now in Columbiana County. $162,000. Now let's look at distress, because I think this is one of the worst ones. I could be wrong, but let me look. Let's look. Distress. What's happening with distress? Yeah, look at this. I think this may be one of the worst counties in the state. You've got 77,000 properties. Round up, call it 78,000. 78,000 total properties. Is that right? And you've got 17,000 property tax delinquencies, which as a percentage, actually, it's 4.87%. So I was wrong. It's not one of the biggest ones. Oh, I did that backwards. My bad. 20%. Sorry, folks. Sorry, my bad. 20.5%. There are nearly 17,000 property tax delinquencies with only 78,000 total properties. So that's 20%. Over 20%. That's 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5 properties on a street. Walk down a street in the county, one of these properties, one of these 5 houses, property tax delinquent. That is a massive crisis brewing. I mean, think about it. They have the same number or nearly the same number of tax delinquencies as Franklin County with, what do they have, 500,000 properties? This is crazy. And look, and so free and clear, 45,000 free and clear properties, same story. A lot of them, not all of them, but a good portion of them, over half, are paid off homes. Upside down, 1,577. So just a smidge are upside down on their mortgage. All the pain is in this tax delinquency. Crazy. And what about pre-foreclosures? People that are houses that have been filed for foreclosure or sent to foreclosure in the early stages. 162. That's it in the whole county. So you are looking to buy. Well, This could be a place to start. I'm not kidding. Like, so go to the county website, poke around, and look for auctions. Look for tax delinquent auctions and see what you can find. You have to know what you're doing. You can't just run out and buy a foreclosure property or a tax delinquent property, but know what you're doing. Know that you probably have a lot of repairs. But I know several first-time home buyers that purchased houses at discounts, way off of where market value would be through a foreclosure, a property tax foreclosure, no less. So those opportunities are out there, and it looks like they're going to be there in your county. But like, what is a county like Columbiana County going to do when 20% of properties are delinquent on property tax? You're not going to get the revenue. And the other thing is somebody could come in and buy all these. Like, I think that could be an option, right? You could see a bunch of there's a company out there called Tax Ease that buys delinquent property taxes from counties in Ohio. Not all of them, but some of the counties. They will buy property tax delinquencies. And then they just rack up fees on the owner. Eventually they foreclose and they get the property for the property tax bill. So if your property tax delinquency is $5,000 and your home's worth $100,000, that company bought your home for $5,000. It happens. It happens. And I think it'll happen more and more because the counties need the revenue. It's kind of crazy, right? They've increased property taxes to the point that it's crushing homeowners because they want the money. The counties need the money, but now they're not collecting the money. So it's like they price themselves out of the market, right? These are all property tax delinquencies right here, right? Oops, nope, I got to click the button. These are all the property tax delinquencies in Columbiana County. They're right here on this map. You can always subscribe to this service. It's not proprietary. It's propstream.com. Propstream.com. That's all it is. Here's one for $1.39 million. What's this? It's a big place. Looks like a big farm or something. Look at that. It's like a horse farm or something. Big old house. This is somebody's life, right? I mean, this is somebody not being able to pay it. Now, bills get missed. It's very possible that some of these tax delinquent folks just can't, they missed their bill. If their house is paid off, maybe they missed the bill. Maybe they just forgot to pay it, whatever. So it's not like they're all doomed, but a good portion of these folks are probably like scratching their head wondering, what am I going to do? The fees on property tax delinquency are insane. They're insane. I've missed some. I've accidentally missed some of my properties not paying the property tax. And you're like, uh-oh. And then you look like 2 months later and it's like an extra couple $100. Like, dang, that stunk. But this place is valued at, $1.4 million. Oh, farmland, agricultural. Sad. Sad. I wish this person luck. That's no good. Don't like to see that. Don't want to see that. Don't want to see that. All right. Whew. Man, that's sobering. Oh. Inner City of Columbus. Let's look at this one. 43205. 43205. I've flipped a few homes in 43205 back in the day. Yes, I'm one of those people. But I always try to do what's right, right? You always try to do what's right for the neighborhood. And is it 43205 or 43025? 43205. Why is that not coming up? 43205. What are you doing here, Resi Club? What's going on? 43205. 432. That's frustrating. It won't zoom into it for some reason. Sometimes it doesn't. I mean, I can go to it though. It's right down here, right? Whoops. 43205. Where is it? Why can't I find it? Try it again. Sorry. It actually has it on the map, so it's confusing to me why it's not zooming in. Hold on. Technical error. This is live, folks. I'm doing my best. It's probably right underneath my nose. I just can't find it. Let me see. Since 2019. That's probably telling. Was it 211, 228, 204? It's like right over here, isn't it? 202. Here it is. My bad. Sorry. 43205. Inventory count. How many? 65. Last year, 73. So you got fewer homes. I was surprised. I would think this market right here, this is like that children's hospital market, right? Old Town East, I think. I would think they'd have more inventory, but they don't. They have fewer homes for sale. Sorry for the delay on that. Pending listing count, 20. Last year, 18. People are definitely buying there because the pending the pending sales are up. They haven't crashed, but inventory is building. Inventory is building overall, right? Let me go back to inventory count. Oh, I'm sorry, it dropped. 65. Last year, 73. Last year, the year before that was 62. But if you go back to 2022, you only had 35 houses. So at least you're not there. But the trend is kind of stalled for inventory. People probably just don't need to sell. 48 days on market, homes are selling quicker. Goodness, not surprising with fewer homes on the market. Not surprising. Let's look at prices overall. Oh, well, look at this. Prices are down 6%. Down 6%. They've been down the last few months. So, folks, we found a zip code where prices are down in Ohio. Holy cow! Market, put it on the chart. 6% down year over year in prices. Where are they right now in that market? Yeah, you could see completely different chart, completely different than the other areas we've looked at. $280,000, $280,000. Record high was like here, maybe 299, 298. Here's back in 2025, last year, April, you were at 299. Now you're at 280 for the typical house. Definite price decline here. Definite price decline. Now, let's look at 43205 and see what we can find for distress. And then I'll answer your question about the inner city. What do we got? $5,651 total properties in that zip code. Of that, 346 are tax delinquent. $346 tax delinquent out of, let me look how many properties. 5,600 out of 5,600. And here's where they are, right? That children's hospital area. 5,600 homes. Still 6%. Not small. Not small. Still 6%. How many are upside down? Only 214. Free and clear, 2,390 are free and clear. That's basically half. Again, half free and clear, not many upside down. Now, let's go back to the map of prices and let's look at the inside Columbus. I'll show you real quick. So let me do prices since, yeah. Okay, let's do prices since 2022. So you asked what's going on inside the city, right? Let me just change this. This will give us a better guidance. Yeah, that helps. So red is down, blue is up. And what do you notice? This is like downtown Columbus, right? So all these zip codes around the inner city of Columbus are all down in price since 2022. In fact, 43202 is down 11%. 43201 is down 12%. 43215 down 6% since 2022. If I look at prices year over year, you've got 43205. We just looked at that, down 6%. 43203 down 6%. 43215 down 4%. 43222 down 5.5%. I mean, all like inside Columbus, inside the outer belt, or like you had said, inside the city, definitely seeing price decline. Definitely seeing price decline. I mean, look at 43211. The Linden area down 4%. So it could be a lot of investors and a lot of flippers in that area selling, having a problem moving their product. Probably bought it too high. Figured if I put granite countertops in, I can charge them $100 grand. They figured out they can't. Now it just sits and rots, and hopefully somebody buys it and restores it, right? Somebody lives in it. All right. What's next? 45502. Let me look at this. 45502. And thanks for joining me. You can drop your zip code below. I may get to it. I may not. But if you have a question, you can drop that too. And I will look at some questions here in a minute. Take some comments and questions from y'all. 24 houses on the market in 45502. Last year, you had 24. Same amount of homes. Nothing special there. Let me look at the county, though. Let's do that. 45502. County. It's Springfield, right? Clark County. All right, Clark County. I hate that. I have to email Lance and tell him to fix that. Clark County, Ohio, 189 houses on the market for the entire county. I moved to county because you didn't have a lot going on in your zip code. Last year, you had 210 houses on the market. You've lost inventory. It's nuts to see that. It's hard to understand that inventory may not be returning for years in some of these counties. Median days on market, 37. Nothing big there. I don't see any problems, any danger signs there with days on market. Pending sales, how many? 222. Last year, 222. Same amount of pending sales. Demand is still there, but you have fewer homes on the market. Geez. How about prices? Up 4.6%, up 5%. Very similar to what we're seeing in some other areas, although that is a little higher. You do have home prices growing. In Clark County, let's look at single family value, $203,280. That's the typical value of a house in Clark County. And that's an all-time record high. Homes have never been more expensive than right now in Clark County. So having said that, let's look at the distress and see what we find. Clark County, Ohio. What do we got? Filters. We've got 67,000 total properties. And of that, you've got 6,200 tax delinquencies. Wow. Which is basically 10%, right? 9.25%. But I mean, it's a lot, right? You've got a lot of tax delinquencies out there in Springfield. nearly 10% of all homes. I mean, think about this trend. I mean, it's the good counties are like 2, 3%. A lot of these counties, though, are 7, 8, 9, 10%. One was 20%. It's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any better. But look at all these homes that are tax delinquent. Wow. Let's just look at one right here. $149,000. No pictures. Let's find one with pictures. Oh, here we go. Look at home. Looks like a nice home. $199,000. They're delinquent in the year 2025. Now, if you're looking for a house and you're like, I can't find anything, realize if these people cannot pay their property tax bill, the county will foreclose. Somebody will foreclose. Or they'll just sell it. But if you had a program like this, and you can get it, it tells you all the owner information too. So you can literally find all the property tax delinquencies, drive by the houses, and be like, hey, is that a house that I'm interested in? Maybe I want to buy that. And then write the person a letter. It works. Think about it. If you're behind in property tax and you're like, I don't really want to sell my home, or I'm kind of embarrassed, or I don't know how to sell it. And then you get a letter in the mail from somebody in the area that wants to buy it, good person, they may say, yeah, give me a call. And then you have an opportunity that others don't to buy a house. You want to treat them fairly, but if they're going to get foreclosed on, or have some investor like me, or heaven forbid, some private equity investor, a big hedge fund buy their house, or some kind of shyster county foreclose on it, you might as well, help them out. Get them out of distress. Get yourself a place. It looks like a nice house. Looks like it's on the market, maybe. Right? Look at this little ranch. Look at that. Looks like a good house to me. Gotta love a mid-century modern, right? Not enough of these being built. They're not building these. They don't build these houses anymore at all. So I think these will be very valuable in the future. Look, nice hardwood floors, 2-bed, 2-bath, 1,300 square feet. Typical mid-century modern house. Anyway, that one's delinquent, at least according to this data. There's a lot there, right? You've got nearly 10% of all houses tax delinquent in Springfield. Unreal. Next on the list is Squeak. Squeak Mercer, 43201. Inventory count. What do we got? 43201. How many homes? 70. Okay, you got 70 homes on the market. Last year, 53. More inventory, good for you. Median days on market, 38. Last year, 37. No difference, really. Homes are just sitting the same amount of time. Pending listing count, 30. Last year, 22. More people buying than they were last year. So you got a little more demand, more inventory. Sounds good to me. Look at this. Prices are actually down in your zip code, 43201. I want to make sure I got the right zip code. 43201. Yeah. Prices are actually down. We found 2 zip codes so far, folks, out of all the stuff we've done today where prices are down. Down 3.4%. Probably not a trend yet, but they're not going up right now overall. Doesn't mean the house you're in, or the house you're looking at, or the house you're selling isn't down or up. That's just a general trend. And yeah, look at the value here. $377,000. The all-time record high was back here at 458. Where is this? 43201. Oh, it's in Columbus, yeah. Oh, near Ohio State. We probably already looked at it on that map, right? My bad. The numbers run together. But yeah, look at the peak was back here in 2023 at 458, 459. Now 378. It's a big drop. That's a big, big drop. And we already looked at Franklin County delinquency. So I'll skip that, but price is definitely falling. Let's look here. Yeah. Yeah, right downtown Columbus, right? Or University District. like Ohio State, right? I got to assume there's people, in fact, I know of people that bought investment properties, Airbnbs, whatever, down in this area. And they can't sell them. And that's the other thing. If you're looking for a house, go find investment properties. Find one that somebody is renting to a tenant. And if you're willing to take that tenant on for a period of time, eventually maybe you move in the place yourself. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that. They're like, I don't want to do that. I'd rather have one that is empty, or the guy's going to be gone when I get there. But if you want a deal, there could be a place like this where people need to sell because they've had their house on the market a long time as an investor. They can't sell their Airbnb. Airbnb is not passive income. It takes work. You have to manage the business. And a lot of people didn't know that or didn't think of that. And they bought a house and thought, I can just Airbnb it. And then they realize there's a bunch of other ones around them in a hip area, and they end up not being able to rent it out. And so that could be an opportunity for you. Anyway, yeah, definitely seen price decline and inventory build there in 43201. All right, what's next? 45133. Do you want to see delinquency? Let's look at that. 45133. Man, there ain't a lot going on there at all. There is some property tax delinquency. 67 property tax delinquent homes. Total houses. How many you got total? 20,000 houses. Only 67 they're coming up with that are property tax delinquent. Not very many. Let's look at the county you're in. 45133. Let me just double check your zip. 45133. Highland County. Let's look at Highland County and see what we can find. And then I will take some comments and questions. And I don't know how many zip codes I'm going to do after that. Maybe I'll do a couple more if I feel froggy, but I've been at it today. Highland County, only 86 property tax delinquencies out of 34,000 properties. Not a whole lot of delinquency, man. If you're looking for delinquency, I don't see it here. Upside down, 801. Free and clear, 20,000. Majority of the county has free and clear homes, which is normal. That's 100% normal for Ohio. So a lot of paid off homes. People were shocked at that when I tell them from other areas of the US. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of paid off homes in Ohio. Old, paid off homes that are behind in their property tax. That's what I see. But in Highland County, not so much. Not so much. So real quick, let me show you this. This is, I think, the worst county in Ohio. I spelled that right? Let me look at this up. Hang on. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Guer. Guernsey County. Let's look at that. Which is Cambridge. This one's really bad. 49,000 total properties in Guernsey County. Basically 50,000. Of that, 12,000 are delinquent. That's a big problem. That one is a big problem in Guernsey County. No doubt about it. The other one that's really bad, I know, is Adams County. Shout out to Jessica Baker, by the way, who's doing a fantastic job on the data center stuff. She lives in Adams County. They got that big data center down there, Mount Orb, where they're putting in that. I think SoftBank is building that one, that Japanese company. This one is shocking. There are 22,000 properties in Adams County. Of that, 4,500 are tax delinquent. I mean, that's approaching a quarter of all properties tax delinquent. And look at this, free and clear 15,000 of the 22,000 are paid off. It's not the mortgage, it's the tax. Nuts. Adams County and Guernsey County are not good. Columbiana County we saw wasn't good. Oddly enough, Franklin, Cuyahoga, Hamilton, not as bad as I would think, percentage-wise. Percentage-wise. All right, let me look at some of your comments. Whew, this has been a live, man. This has been a live. There's probably, let's look, comments. What do we got? I probably missed a lot of comments. I'm using PropStream. You want to know what site I'm using right now? PropStream. PropStream. I think there's a link for it in my description. I don't make any money on the PropStream app. Maybe I should do an affiliate link with them, but I don't have one. So I think they give you a 7-day trial. The other one out there is Property Radar. Very similar program. Ohio State campus, taxes way high. Yeah. Yeah, obviously. Huh, look at this. My property taxes were cheaper than they were last year, only by a couple $100. How can that be? I don't know. You have to look at your bill. I'm not sure. Something changed, obviously. I'm really not sure. Consider yourself lucky. Now, I do know, like, I'm hearing that you're getting a discount now on property taxes because of the inflation cap. I'm seeing that. If it's an owner-occupied property, I've heard that from people that there is a discount in there. It's not huge, but there is a discount there. And if you're a landlord, your taxes went up because the discount that the homeowner got went to the landlord, and then the landlord turns around and raises rent more on the renter. Is that a solution? No. Is it a trade-off? Yeah, it is. No solutions, just trade-offs. I wonder if people are moving to Ohio from New York. I don't know. I've tried to find that data. I can't find anything good really that makes sense on where people are moving from. People are moving here from somewhere. The population in Ohio is actually growing now. I'm using PropStream. Maybe I should get an affiliate link. Everybody would click on it and give me some money. It's the Old Town East area. Yep. Let me just look here. Live along the Ohio River. Understood. And they're always the same. That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad you're not seeing that massive increase. Yeah, I've been talking live. That's nothing new. I mean, I'm trying to go through all these zip codes. What are you going to do, right? I can't do them in 10 seconds. Yeah, there you go. Share it. Yep. Boy, you guys got a lot of zip codes. I apologize. I'll do a couple more, then I'm kind of probably out. Do you think they will use eminent domain to take these upside down properties for businesses like for data centers? I don't know. I'm not sure how that works. Remember, they're not upside down. They're just back on property tax. But if you're somebody that owes property tax and you haven't wanted to sell your property and somebody knocks on your door and says, well, I'll buy it. I'll give you the check right now. Even if it's under market value, a lot of people are like, yeah, I guess I'll take it because I don't want to pay these taxes. The problem is, where do you go? That's the issue, right? What do you do? What do you do? Great advice. Stretching finances to the point of paying to buy is likely not a good choice. Thank you. You're right, Andrew. Absolutely correct. Like, you don't have to buy a home. It's sometimes it's not all it's cracked up to be. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's not. And there's always maintenance involved, right? Unexpected consequences. Oh, I need a new this. I need a new that. Oh, that broke. Oh, this broke. Got to call this guy. Got to do that. A tree fell. Got to cut the tree up. Got to cut the grass. Got to do this. So don't stretch yourself to buy a home. Yeah. They are troubling. You're right, Andrew. They're definitely troubling. Can I check Suffield Township, Portage County. I did Portage County. I did that. Let's put property taxes into perspective by comparing it to sales tax. X, if your home purchase was 200 grand and the sales tax was 7%, 14,000. Amortized over a typical 30-year loan, about $40 a month. Right, but they don't charge you sales tax on a house. I see your point, though. Hey, please speak on the value prop of buying. Someone tried to say that taxes were baked into my rent. Okay, my rent is still half of my mortgage. Double the space, double the cost, difficult decision. So it is baked into your rent because your landlord has to pay property tax. Now, that doesn't mean, and I don't know where you live, I don't know who your landlord is, but if they're paying attention to their business and their property taxes have gone up a lot, they're going to raise their rent. Usually. Sometimes not. Sometimes they don't. So you can't guarantee your rent's going to go up because of property tax, but I wouldn't be shocked if it does. Is that what you mean? But you're right. In a lot of cases, renting makes more sense. No argument there. No argument. You're never going to hear that from me as a realtor say, you got to buy. Don't rent. You're wasting your money. It's like, well, maybe I'm not. Right? Like if you have a good space where you are, DJ, you have a great space, you're happy where you are, your payments manageable, you're good there. You take your extra money and invest it. Go buy a rental yourself. You can go buy real estate, even if you don't live in a piece of real estate you own. It's not Russia. You don't have to buy a home. So it's I have no problem with, I mean, sometimes I wish I rented. Just easy. I'm probably going to rent in the future. There's nothing to deal with. Minerva. Maybe I'll do that one. Oh, that's how you say it, huh? Lancaster. Lancaster is PA. Lancaster is Ohio. Good to know. Yeah, this is the problem right here, right? The money they take in property tax, you have less for property upkeep. Exactly. And this is every property owner, landlords included. If you get slammed with property tax, all of a sudden it goes up a ton. And you're like, well, I was going to, whatever, put new gutters on the building or repair the front steps, fix the roof. And then you're like, I can't do it now. Even if you're a landlord or an owner, yeah, there's a trade-off there. You can't do the upkeep. Hocking County. I'm going to do this one. I want to show you what's happening in Hocking County. Mesmerizing me. Taxes to support data centers are driving people into dire financial crisis in Ohio. You're right. They have no other option but to flee. These data centers should be self-supported like any other business. Yeah, I mean, what's the property tax abatement in Ohio? It's like $21 billion of property tax abatements a year. And we collect like 21 or 24 billion. So half of the entire property tax budget, if you want to call it that, is abatements. And yeah, I agree with you. This is why the property tax abolishment effort is so complicated. Because if that abolishment effort goes through, data centers won't pay any property tax. Investors won't pay any property tax. Blackstone, if they come in and buy houses in your neighborhood, are paying no property tax. The property tax abolishment effort right now is all property for everybody. I don't think many people understand that. However, I still support it. Not because I'm a landlord and I want free tax, but because I look at this data from homeowners and I think in rural Ohio, and I think, man, that's not good. So you pay off your home and you're getting hammered with property tax. That's crazy. So it's a complicated situation. It's not as cut and dry as just eliminate property tax. Everybody's happy. Data centers would pay no property tax. Then I think they would probably flood the state. So would investors. Private equity, hedge funds for buying homes would flood the state. No property tax. Their revenue and their profit's going to go through the roof. Huh. What up, Steve Hamrick? How you doing, man? 43221. All right, real quick, any other questions? Reality check. Only way you can find lower real estate prices in Ohio is to go to West Virginia. That's hilarious. Let's go Mountaineers. And it's going to keep crashing because the interest rates are being pushed up. The lower the interest rates to get reelected, then raise them so the currency doesn't crash. Yeah. The weird thing is, though, we haven't, I understand what you're saying, but rates have gone up from their lows, right? At like 3% or whatever they were, 2% mortgage rates. But the housing market overall has not crashed. Even nationally, it hasn't crashed. And it hasn't crashed because I think rates are high. So people don't want to sell. So there's no inventory. Now, theoretically, at some point, if rates got high enough, people would be maybe more motivated to sell for some reason. But it's the problem is you've got 30-year fixed mortgages. So if you're fixed in at 5, 4, 3%, doesn't matter what the rate is. The higher rate only affects people with an adjustable rate mortgage, which there aren't many of those. Like 8% have adjustable rate mortgages, or people buying a house now. That's when it affects people. That's why people aren't buying. But the seller doesn't want to sell because he has nowhere to go. He can't afford the higher payment. That's what's going on. That's why the market's not crashing from higher rates, which is completely counterintuitive. We need forced selling. That's the only way to cause a housing crash. It's the only way. Lots of inventory hitting the street because people are forced to sell their home, not because they want to sell their home. Okay, let me look at a couple of these. Let's look at Minerva, 44657. 44657. Oh, only 10 houses. So we're going to need to look at the county level. Stark County. Stark County. Let's look at this one. Stark County, Ohio. Shout out Mr. Phil Davidson from Stark County. 498 homes on the market right now. Last year, 466. So you've got 30 more houses. Back in the doldrums of the pandemic, you had 327 homes. If I go back to 2017, you had 915. Inventory destruction. Median days on market. How long are homes sitting? 31 days. Last year, 30. And pending listing count. Demand, 519. Last year, 513. So a little more demand, not a ton. And you are building some inventory, right? Building inventory. Can't beat that. By 30 homes, but it is going up. That's a good trend. Let's look at prices. And then we'll look at distress. 4.6% up. Prices still going up in Minerva. Well, Stark County anyway. $218,000, $219,000. Wow. 219. Typical single family value. That's an all-time high in Stark County. All-time record high. Let's go to PropStream and see what we can find for Stark County. Stark County, Ohio. $210,000 total properties in the county. 9,892 are tax delinquent. Bit slower. 210. Basically 5%, right? 5% are tax delinquent. You can see they're all right here around Canton, right? Oops. Oops. Sorry. This map's giving me fits. Yeah, here they are. So 9,892, basically 5% of the market. It's not 25 or 20% at least. That's good, but it's still 5% of all homes tax delinquent. Again, I'm going to track this over time so that we can actually see a trend. Because right now, I don't know if that's more than last year, more than last month, or what. I want to see how it changes. So I will track that for us. Take me a few months to kind of build any type of trend, but eventually it'll happen. Wow. How many are upside down, I wonder? 5,000 are upside down, like 2%, right? That's kind of normal for the US, 2% upside down. Free and clear, 100 and what? Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. Free and clear, 107,000 properties out of 210. I mean, that trend is very consistent. I'll track that too. How many are free and clear? How many are upside down? I'll track all that. So basically half of all homes are paid off. It doesn't matter. Tax delinquency is raging. And it hasn't really been a problem until the last few years, right? Nobody really cared about property tax. You're like the guy in the river who made a comment. It hasn't really changed that much. And historically, it doesn't seem like it has. All of a sudden, property values went up and the system was not designed to calculate it correctly or calculate it fairly, however you want to look at it. All right, so that is Minerva. You're looking to buy. Well, you've got more inventory. Price is still going up. Homes at record high prices. Maybe there's a tax delinquent property to go after, but it looks like you do have more choices. I would say be patient, look off market, have your agent, if you're working with an agent, have them go back and pull all the expired listings, all the stuff that hasn't sold over the last 3 years, and pick a few that you like and have them call the owners and see if there's an opportunity. A lot of people just delisted their home and are just sitting there. They may want to sell, never know till you call, right? Okay, let's do this one. Steve, I'll do yours. 43221. How you doing, man? Good to see you, Steve Hamrick. $43221, which is, I just gotta orient myself. Yeah, it's just North Columbus, right? Northwest Columbus. It's like Hilliard. Is that right? Active inventory, 40 units on the market. Last year, 47. Fewer houses for sale in your neck of the woods. 23 days to sell a home. Last year, 25. Homes are still moving. 53 homes winning contract this year, 53 last year, about the same amount of demand. Not a lot of change there. Prices up just 2%. So they're down if you count inflation, right? But they haven't fallen negative in nominal terms, right? Not counting inflation, they haven't fallen. And the typical home value is not cheap there. $533,000. Wow. That's a lot. And is that an all-time high? I think it is. All-time record high in 43221. Homes have never been more expensive than right now. I won't look at distress because we already looked at Franklin County. I just want to make sure. 43221. Yeah, we already looked at Franklin County, so I won't look at that again. But prices are expensive there, and they're not coming down right now at all. Good to see you, man. Hope your family is well. All right, Hocking. I want to do this one. So this is like Airbnb Mecca. Let's find out what's happening with Airbnbs in Ohio. And there's Airbnbs all over the place, but Hocking is a Mecca of that of Airbnb. 43138. What are we going to find? In Hocking County. Now, this zip code may not have the data we need. Well, they got 81 listings. Yeah, so 81 homes for sale right now. Last year, 45. Hocking County has had an explosion of inventory. I don't think prices have fallen yet, though. Based on what I remember, I don't think prices have fallen. So you've got 81 houses now on the market. Last year, 45. So a lot more homes for sale. I mean, look at this. You look out from the last 10 years, they got more houses on the market right now than the last 10 years. We don't run into that a lot in Ohio at this point. Not seeing that a lot. So this is an anomaly. How long are homes taking to sell? Just 39 days is the median days on market. Last year was 40. So homes are actually selling about the same amount of time. There's nothing strange there. Nothing, that's bad. Pending sales, 28. Last year, 28. But if you're putting 28 homes in contract and you've got 81 houses on the market, you may have some price decline eventually. Maybe. Let's find out. Not yet. Look at this. 5% up in that zip code for Hocking County. 5%. And what is the typical home value there in Hocking County? 264, 265. It's an all-time record high. Nope, it's not. Sorry, spoke too soon. Last month was slightly higher. Slightly, by like a few $100. But you're basically there, near your all-time high at 265. Let's just look at Hocking County in general and see what's happening. Yeah, look at the inventory, very similar to your zip code. 156 houses now, last year 95. So inventory has grown substantially on a percentage basis. Back in 2021, there were only 21 homes on the market in the entire county. Now there's 156. Let's look at prices. How are they doing? Yeah, they're up 5% in the county. So prices are not crashing there yet. And maybe they will never, I can't say they will, but they are gaining inventory. So you think eventually there's going to be a price decline. I'm curious if there's any distress there in Hocking County. I'm curious if there's any distress. No. 7 tax delinquencies, 23,000 properties. Not a lot of delinquency. Not a lot. So I don't see a lot of pain there yet. And maybe you won't have any. I'm not saying you will. Probably, it's not all Airbnb, obviously. There's a lot of people that just live there. Interesting. Let me show you one more county before we're done. One more county. Let me look at this one. Nobody ever asked about this county. I've been waiting. Holmes County, Ohio. Only 35 houses on the market. Huh. That's not that many. But I was curious about prices, how they're doing in Holmes County, Ohio with prices. Up 6.5%. But this is what I really wanted to look at. I wanted to look at the trend of prices in value terms. Yeah, look at this trend. $370,000 is the typical home price in Holmes County. If I go back to 2019, it's $212,000. So in 6 years, prices have gone up $150,000 on a $200,000 home. That is crazy. That is crazy. And look at this. Home prices have gone up 62% in Holmes County since 2020. 62%. That's a lot. Anyway, I just kind of got curious thinking about Holmes County, if it was going up or not. All right. I am wiped, folks. I've done a lot. And I probably missed your zip code. If I did, I apologize. We'll do it next week. I do this on Thursday or Fridays, usually Fridays. I do the national one on Thursday. So if you want to join us on the Housing Nerd channel, I do that around noon on Thursdays. And we talk about the whole country. So people will mention zip codes from all over the U.S. Pretty interesting. And then Friday is just for the Ohio Housing Nerds. So let me check, see if there's any more questions that I can address, and then I'm out. You guys got a lot of questions. If you think it's expensive to live in Ohio, you should try living in Florida. We left Ohio and lived in Florida for 25 years. Everything was high. Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Right. I mean, we have it easy. I get that comparatively to a lot of states. I lived in California for a while, almost bought a home there. Thank goodness I didn't. And I moved back to Ohio, where I grew up, because it's cheaper. One of the reasons. Don't buy a Lennar home. Cheap build. We own 3 homes and built them all ourselves. It saves you money and you know what you're getting. Yeah, congratulations. That's cool. You built your own home. Oh, you lived in the DMV, which is like the DC area, right? DC, Maryland, Virginia. On Maryland side, lived in a new neighborhood for 9 years, and they were still building when I left. But now they moved to build rental townhomes and houses. Lennar, a big builder, right? $3,100 for taxes. The big majority going to schools. They build a new high school, middle school, and remodeled some other older schools. I mean, so I have no problem support. I'm not saying you have a problem with it, but I don't. The whole unrealized gain tax. That's the issue I have. Nobody would stand to have their Bitcoin or their gold taxed if they didn't sell it, right? If you sell it and you make a capital gain, you pay tax on that capital gain. That's normal. But to have an unrealized gain taxed on the paper value of an asset is insane. That's what makes no sense. The school funding part is needed. I don't have a problem at all funding schools. I would just rather get a bill. Like, hey, your kid attends school. Here's your bill. All right, got to pay my bill, my school bill. Tell me what it's for. You need a new school? Okay, you have to have one repaired. I get that. But to be taxed for the tax value to be calculated because of an unrealized gain, because the market value went up, is crazy. And let me ask you this. Do you think property taxes in Austin, Texas are going to go down anytime soon? Austin, Texas home prices have crashed over 20%. Are their property taxes less today? Are they realizing some kind of massive drop in property tax? I don't think so. So that part is nuts. That's why I don't like property tax. But I don't mind supporting firefighters in schools. They got to be supported. I live outside the edge of Wayne National Forest. That's cool. I heard the state is selling over 2,700 acres. I hope they aren't putting in data centers. You never know. It's a beautiful area too. Owning a home, you need a big emergency fund and a home repairs fund, along with a major home fund repair for roof, windows, and furnace, and just as expensive maintenance. I agree. I agree, John. I always tell people, have a slush fund or a backup fund for your house if you're going to buy one for repairs. Have a slush fund backing that one up. And oh, by the way, have a rainy day fund to back those funds up, because things happen. You know, you've got a heating system that needs replaced. You got a roof that needs repaired, a tree that comes down, whatever. You got to get it fixed. And so you need a fund ready. Yeah, here you go. Heat pump, $8,500. You can't live without heat. Adams County is a poor county. They tricked the people there about big data center, had them thinking lots of permanent jobs coming. They didn't even, I don't think they got to vote on it. I think it just happened. Yeah, I think it just happened. Yeah, I did Summit County. U-Haul may, oh, look at this. U-Haul may have good data. Oh, I'm moving? That's not a bad idea. Thank you for that. Huh, I learn something every day. I may use that. Let me see anything else. You're welcome, Jay Steele. Thank you for joining us, hanging out. Well, I'm glad you appreciate it. If you can tell, I put a lot of effort into it. I really like doing this, and I'm not becoming a millionaire from doing it, but it's fun, and you know, it's fun to talk to people, and I learn a lot, and I become a better realtor from it because I realize, look at data across the state, and from that aspect, it's valuable. And I have picked up some clients from it. There's some people that have pinged me because of YouTube and Facebook stuff, and I've had an opportunity to work with them. So, by the way, if you need a good realtor in Central Ohio, give me a call. I only cover really Central Ohio as a realtor, but I'm happy to work with you and help you. Even if you just want to understand what your house is worth. All right. 2 hours, 16 minutes, 48 seconds and counting. Y'all are fantastic. Thanks for joining me today. We will do this again next week. And bring your zip codes, bring your questions. The first one's in, obviously, I put those on top. You can see that. So if I missed yours, let's do it next week. I'm the Housing Nerd. Hope you have a great weekend, folks. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the weather. I'm the Ohio Housing Nerd, and I am out. OUT. Peace.